Hi, we're Eric and Sherry Winterton, and we are here today to talk to you about a subject that is not spoken nearly enough, and that is sex between a husband and a wife. It's really, really important that this be a discussion that is held regularly between a husband and wife. It's going to result in a more unified union, with a very healthy level of intimacy.
So God created marriage, and since God created marriage, He gets to make the rules about marriage. In fact, in the book of Genesis, it tells us two became one. It's called consummating the marriage. And it's pretty simple. Sex is designed to be only within a marriage, period. Not before a marriage and not outside a marriage.
So, sadly, 50% of all marriages have experienced sexual issues in the marriage at some point during their entire marriage.
And since half of all couples have issues with sexual intimacy, we thought it was important to have a video like this to talk to you guys about it. There's a number of circumstances that can actually lead to sexual issues in a marriage.
Right, so there's a lot of misleading information out there. So perhaps this misleading information began when you were a child, when you were 12 to 15 years old, maybe started having some of those questions, and your parents really weren't armed with the right tools to be able to talk to you about it, or it was just a subject that was banned from the house and they didn't want to talk about it. Perhaps you went to a public school like I did, and the parents relied on the public school system to teach about sex education in class. That was a little scary.
Or out of curiosity, you went to the internet, because it's a wealth of information, but not always good information.
And how about Hollywood? What you watch on television, what you watch in the movies. They do not treasure the intimacy between one man and one woman through the sacrament of marriage, and it's really, really sad. So perhaps let's go to the example of when a mom talks to their young daughter before she gets married, and perhaps the mother is telling the daughter, sex is something that you endure and you use for procreation. It's not something out of enjoyment. So then as this young woman gets older and gets more comfortable in a sexual relationship with her husband, she may be afraid to talk to her husband about the fact that she wants to get some enjoyment out of it instead of just enduring the sexual experience.
And women sometimes could think, well, if I give sex to my husband, he's going to be affectionate towards me, and vice versa. The husband says, well, if I'm affectionate towards my wife, then she's going to give me sex. And that just leads to lack of desire and intimacy. That's what studies have shown. Or maybe women believe that men don't value them for who they are, but more of like a sexual object, and men believe that women just want to withhold it or not give it to them. Right. And these all can create issues if you believe those lies that either come from Hollywood or these misinformation sources. And so that's why we want to talk to you guys today about some of the things that we've learned biblically. These problems can create two issues primarily. It's fear and anxiety.
Right. So fear, perhaps it's a fear of anger. So I may be afraid if I tell him no when he wants to have intimate relations, that he's going to get angry and it's just going to ruin our whole day, our whole weekend, whatever. Perhaps it's a fear of rejection. If I'm pursuing him, what if he turns me down? And what's wrong with me? Are you not attracted to me? And maybe I have that fear of abandonment. Well, if I don't say yes to him, then he's going to go outside the marriage to have his needs fulfilled.
And the second one's anxiety. You could have anxiety like we talked about earlier. Maybe I'm just going to do it. I may not be in the mood for it. I'm mentally prepared for it. Right. And then I don't have a great experience. And if I don't have a great experience, what's going to happen is you're going to have performance anxiety going into the next experience. Is it going to be worse? Is it going to be bad like it was last time? That kind of thing. Right. But there's good news. We bring you 3 tips to help improve sexual intimacy in your relationship. And the first one is relaxation. And what I mean by relaxation is really getting mindful about and prepped for the moment. So it's really eliminating all those outside distractions. Sherry talked a little bit about that. It's putting your mind in focus on getting ready for the event. So this can be done through a number of ways. It could be breathing techniques, it could be prayers, it could be yoga. There's a number of ways to just get yourself to relax and just connect your mind and your body together before you go into that moment.
And also, perhaps it's the two of you together relaxing together, laying in bed, listening to music, soft music, just having some conversation, non-sexual touches.
Yeah.
Which,
massages.
Yeah.
A hot tub if you got a hot tub. That's
or
great
just a soak in the
relaxation.
bath, a bubble bath,
Yeah.
or a shower together. All these are ideas that can help relax you. So the second thing is, while you're in the moment, mindfulness is really, really important. So I call this keeping your dog on the track. And we are all just overwhelmed with life. There's so much going on in our day-to-day life. And it's really hard during that moment of intimacy with your spouse to put the two of us in a bubble and shut everything out. It's really, really important that we do that. But remember, feelings follow actions. So maybe you're a little bit burdened with something that's going on throughout the day and you can't quite keep it off of your mind. If you just focus on the touch that your husband's giving you, the touch that your wife is giving you, and mentally put yourself intimately in that puzzle piece with him or her, it's going to shut it all out naturally.
And the third thing is communication. And this happens before the intimacy happens. So this is where you really communicate about your sexual and emotional needs to your partner.
Or after.
It could be an after. It could be a lesson learned. But it's really, hey,
well,
practice makes
happens.
Anyway, so communicate your desires, communicate the things that may, like Sherry said, take your dog off the track, or something that's stressing you out that doesn't help you relax. We talked earlier about the example of, anyway.
So the example I'm thinking of is, I have a really keen sense of smell. So if he had onions on a salad, it's not that's going to be a deal breaker. We had to have this conversation. I'm sorry, I have a keen sense of smell. If we're going to be intimate and I want to stay mindful, we got to take onions off that salad.
Or another one is, you got the weights of the world, like Sherry talked about earlier, weighing on you. And, so I'm a husband, I come home from the day and I want to de-stress with having some intimate relationship with my wife, but she's in the middle of making dinner. She's got to communicate to me, that's really not a good time. Give me a minute, honey, let's get the dinner on the table first. And then maybe later we could do that, right? So it's careful communications, but you got to communicate your needs and your wants.
And I can communicate with him without saying a word. That could be, laying a nice lingerie on the bed, or putting it on, and he knows, everything else goes out the window, I know what's happening now.
Or I could
clear
spread
indication.
Rose petals and candles. I mean, there's romantic things you can do to give the indication that that's what you're looking for. And it's just about that communication. It could be subtle, it can be direct, but you got to definitely communicate to your spouse.
So perhaps you and your spouse are watching this up to this point and you're thinking, nope, we pretty much are good at relaxing, I can keep my dog on the track, and we communicate well. But there's still something wrong. There's still something missing. So it starts off with a couple of things. Maybe it's you. You always have to start with you. Like, what is my accountability in this, right? But maybe I have a self-image problem. Maybe I've picked up a few pounds and I don't feel that he's attracted to me anymore. Perhaps it is me just not feeling like I deserve him. Perhaps it's your spouse. Maybe you found out that your spouse is looking at porn, which is a very common problem, and it is, I don't even know what the statistics are on that, but it is very, very common.
It's higher than 50%.
With men and with women.
Yes.
Women watch porn just like men do. So that is a problem as well. And or maybe there's just a lot of he's criticizing me a lot that day, so why would I want to be intimate with him that night? Or the
kids, criticizing the kids. If you're an angry person, who wants to be around a porcupine, right?
Right.
Or it could be a relationship. I'm talking about maybe those new couples that just had a baby and they're trying to balance the baby and work and 2 jobs and the stuff around the house that all has to get done, and they just can't find time for that intimacy.
Or energy.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a problem. Or it's a stressor from outside the home. It could be a job loss situation or some other financial issue. It could be a death in the family.
Or aging parents that you have to take care of.
There's a lot of issues that could affect you from the outside that come in, and if you let those in, I mean, basically the bottom line is it's reciprocal. It's bi-directional. Your sexual relationship and your relationship itself are connected. If your relationship's not doing well, your intimacy level is probably not going to be doing well,
Yeah.
and vice versa. If you're having trouble with intimacy, it's going to affect your relationship. So they are tied together, and it really becomes like sex is like a thermometer for the relationship. It tells you kind of, is it good or is it bad? I can predict if you're having good relations or bad relations. And then there's things that fall outside of that. If you're having good relations and you're just not having those sexual issues, it may be something more medically based than it is relational based. So I would just advise you to go check that out and get that taken care of.
Right,
through
and
a medical professional.
and if it's not medical and you do feel that you need some counseling, so Marriage Works of Maryland provides counseling. You can reach out to them. Eric and I, we go to church at Rosedale Baptist Church. We have a counseling center at Rosedale Baptist Church that you could reach out to as well.
Absolutely.
So we hope this has been helpful for you. We hope it starts triggering some conversation between you and your spouse to have together, and
good relations.
good relations. We hope that thermometer goes up.
That's right.
So have a good night. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye.